Alright, we're going to try this again. This is the Austin Devon. It's not complete yet. It's still a work in progress. That's what it will look like eventually on the outside. Few things here and there sticking around. You can hear it running. I'm going to go ahead and pause it now and open the hood. Okay, now the hood is open, obviously. I've got that temporary rod in there just to give more space. Now, a few things you'll notice right away is that is not a stock motor. Radiator. That's an aluminum radiator from Griffin radiators, and that is a 14-inch electric fan, push-type fan. The radiator that was in there originally was completely inadequate, so I replaced that. Also, the motor is an Opel 1900 cc motor. As you can tell, I have it running now. That's a Weber carburetor 3236, but I just rebuilt. I replaced all the electronics. You can see right in here, that is the temporary. Okay, I had to kick down the fast idle because the car had warmed up. Weber 3236 carburetor, which I just rebuilt. Opel 1900 cc motor, which I haven't really done anything except clean it up. Again, this is the electronics. That's a temporary mount that I put in just to do a quick mounting of the electronics. All the electronics now are patched through the series of relays there that you can see. The starter, the fuel pump, the windshield wipers, headlights, everything is through the relays. This over here, right in there, you can just make out that is the relay for the fan. It is set at 180, and as you can see, it just kicked on. The fan is going crazy now. It's either on or off. There's no set speed. The speeds are just one speed. Keeps it right about 160. Not sure if you can make out that number or not, but that's the temperature, 167 right now. It's been idling for about 5 minutes. I've replaced the linkage. This is the linkage right now. It's not working quite right. It binds over there at that side. I'm going to have to do something about it. You can hear the motor. Working pretty well. It doesn't smoke. I'll take you back. Please ignore the mess. You can see that's the tailpipe. No real smoke. It smells a little bit rich, I think, which is okay. Show you the interior. I'm going to pause here. Alright, now for you Austin fans, I know you're not going to like this. Most of this was done by the previous owner. The interior is all done. I've got some things apart because I'm still wiring. You can see the headliner, pretty good. It's not great, but it's pretty good. The carpet is okay. The dash, you can see the centerpiece there is not stock Austin at all. I had to I didn't have any of the switches, so I had to do them myself. I've got turning lights here, right and left, obviously. And what I did was, to get turning lights on this thing, I put in dual filament bulbs in the back so that I'd have turning lights rather than trying to rely on the semaphores. which don't really work. You can see I think the front one will be working. We shall see. Yeah, there goes the front one. Missing a lens cover. The headlights and where am I? The headlights and the dash lights are there. You can see the dash here lights up nice and pretty. None of the gauges work properly. I think the oil gauge works. I haven't compared that to a gauge that I know is good, but 30 pounds is about what I would expect this motor to run at. And the headlights are also on that switch, and they are powered through a relay. This is the windshield wiper switch here, excuse me, which, wait a minute, there it is that one. You can see that is actually working. That also works through a relay. I don't remember what this switch is right now. I'll have to track that down. I think I will put in an aftermarket. Oh, that's what that is. That switch is the heater fan, of course. I will put in an aftermarket radio somewhere under here, in the dash, and I will put gauges, aftermarket gauges, underneath the shelf. Mount that in some place inconspicuous. I still need to put away a lot of the wires. As you can see, there's the flasher for the turning lights. I have to put that up, and button this whole area up, and get rid of all the crap that I have on the floor. There's no dome light. There's I can feel underneath here the dome light socket, but whoever put the headliner in put the headliner over it and didn't cut the opening for the dome light. Same thing with the sun visors. There are mounts for the sun visors, but whoever put the headliner in, it wasn't me, didn't go ahead and put the sun visor in. Most of the handles are intact and they work. I'm missing a couple of the knobs. You can hear, I think you can hear the motor. It runs pretty nicely. Sorry, I was zoomed in that whole time. I didn't realize it. Body work is pretty good. The paint job is okay, not great. It has, as you can see here, front disc brakes off of an Opel. I haven't even looked at the rear brakes. I don't know if those are disc or not. The pads are still good. It has front rack and pinion steering, also off of an Opel. Getting parts to replace the rubber on that. It's been idling this whole time. Let's see what the temperature is now. I should be able to make that out. It says it is 150, and that's off of this hose right here. That's, believe it or not, that is a probe for my barbecue. I got an aftermarket temperature gauge, but the probe does not fit in the Opel socket here, so I couldn't use it. So I'm back to using my barbecue temperature gauge or my multimeter. You can see that's the fuel pump. I mean the fuel line. That is the only filter on the line. I have to address that at some point, and I have to finish the routing of the fuel lines underneath. They're all rubber. I have to replace those with metal fuel lines. the fuel pump is just a cheapy perlator 3-pound fuel pump. I have to replace that with a more durable fuel pump and a fuel filter underneath there. Power assist brakes. It has a generator as opposed to an alternator. I don't know if you can see that. Vacuum advance on the distributor. Don't know what else I can tell you. This thing here is working great. The main problem with the radiator at this point is that with an aluminum radiator, there's always a problem with electrolysis, and with the amount of rust that's in the water, that's a real concern. I'm going to have to flush that out as much as possible and use a zinc sacrificial piece of metal. They make them that attach to the radiator cap, and I'll get that after I flush everything out. I'm also going to dress this up a bit. It looks kind of crappy, but it's the only way I can make it fit. The other thing I had to do in order to tie the motor into the radiator was this set of hose down there, which works. I'm not real happy about it, but it works. I'm going to have to see if I can't find a better solution, but it seems to be working quite well right now. I may leave it, I don't know. There's a slight hesitation off of idle, as you can tell when I accelerate. Hear that? That seems to be a characteristic of these Webers. They're a little bit hard to tune in that respect. It's something that a lot of people complain about, and I'm not sure what it is in my case, but I'll be addressing that. If I accelerate a little slower, it does fine. And this is actually a progressive type carburetor. It has two barrels. Most of the operation is off of one of the barrels, but when you accelerate hard enough, it will open the second barrel and give you an extra boost. That's what that is. I'm really anxious to drive this thing, but it's going to take a while. The main thing is the tires that were on the car are rotted. They've just been sitting for 14 years, so they're not usable. I have to get a new set of tires. The other is the rack and pinion steering has to be rebuilt. Actually, it doesn't have to be rebuilt. It just needs the rubber replaced. I need to mount this. I need to mount this stuff and do a little cutting. I didn't have to do very much cutting at all to get this radiator in. Basically, a little bit right there and over on this side. That was about the only cutting I had to do to get the radiator. This radiator is actually for a V8. I think I already mentioned that. So more than enough cooling for this motor. At any rate, that's it. I'm really excited about getting this car on the road. Hopefully pretty soon. All the major stuff is done. And now it's just doing all the little details. This is another thing here. The heater, there's got to be some kind of a valve here to regulate the water flow into the heater, and I'm going to have to fabricate a top for that box to keep the engine compartment fumes out. If anybody has any suggestions for this throttle cable linkage, something better than what I've got here working. Sorry, that's not focusing very fast. I'm open to any suggestions. This is just a simple, cheapy aftermarket cable that is just barely doing the job. So any help on that would be greatly appreciated. At any rate, that's it for now. I'll keep you informed of the updates on this thing as I go along. Thanks for watching.